I'm Mitchell Levy, global credibility expert, and we are at one of the funnest podcasts I've ever been on or had the ability to play with, and it's leaders living their values. And it's the opportunity to dive into some super cool people from around the planet and find out who they are and what they do, and more importantly, what makes them tick. Today, I've got Joe Kiedinger. And Joe, who are you?
Who am I? Well, I'm the youngest of five kids. I'm a bit of an entertainer. I grew up entertaining. My purpose is to teach acceptance in an unaccepting world because I had amazing parents who showed me that. I am the father of four kids, and this year a foreign exchange student. So I have a daughter now in Brazil. She leaves June 25th, or at the end of the school year. And who am I? Fun loving, loving to be inspired and to inspire. Always trying to get green and growing. So I love this title of your podcast of living your values, because that's certainly something I had to figure out the older I got, is just to do you, boo.
Well, you were brought up in a world, as was I, that we were told to live a persona of what we think our clients wanted to see in us.
Right. Fake it to make it, I think is what they said.
God, the worst, the worst. I mean, listen, anyone, if somebody tells you fake it to make it, just run away from that, because that's the worst expression ever, because it has so little credibility associated with it.
But that was the world we lived up in. It was like, I think it also fostered a bit of grit, just rub some mud in it and move on. Let's go.
Well, I like the world of grit. I mean, I like doing what you don't know. I like being honest about it. Having the vulnerability to say, haven't done this before, but I'm going to work really hard to make this happen.
Exactly.
Right?
Absolutely.
So tell me about, obviously, family oriented.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about how you show up on day to day, and maybe I told you we're not talking about clients, but let's talk about who do you serve, and how do they get excited about working with you?
Well, we serve divisional leaders and CEOs who put people first. That's who we serve. And we build dignity-based cultures. So we work with corporations that can be as big as thousands, tens of thousands, maybe a division within that corporation. And we also work with CEOs that might have 50 employees, 300 employees, 700 employees. And so those are the folks that we do most of our work with.
Nice. So what gets them intrigued? What gets them excited? And what gets them coming back?
I think if the product, I've asked our clients this, what is the product we're really selling, let's say, or what are we delivering, right? What's a product? And they would tell me confidence. And so again, living your values, living your legacy, we help them express vision to their company. We help provide leadership that's around authenticity, right? That allows them really to step into themselves, because to your point, raised in the 70s, 60s, some of the 80s, we were taught to fake it to make it. And so some of them are still faking it to make it. And I say, you don't have to, you made it. Like, you're good. Just do you. And so this idea of dignity-based cultures is really important. And they're realizing that because of the job market. I think COVID really woke up the world, right? With the shortage of workforce. So the workforce you have, I've always been about, why are you investing in the leavers? Why are we not investing in the stayers? It's always been my battle cry, even before COVID. And they're just replaceable. One supervisor leaves on the factory floor. We just replace it with another one. They're all lining up. So we're going to only invest in these top executives, And so now the world is waking up. And so people are partnering with us because, well, one, I think they realize it's important. Two, from a business sense, they want to slow down their turnover.
Mm,
But it's the folks who really shine with us, though, have a servant leader heart, which means they're strict but fair. They celebrate victories. They treat each person as unique, and they really want to have a people-centric culture. And so it's in their heart, but they don't know how to execute it. So I'm like the how of building, if it's servant leadership, is that what you're familiar with, or people-centric cultures? I'm the how of that.
mm, love that. Well, given under being credible, one of the core elements, one of the 10 values is being a servant leader. It's having the intent and commitment to do the right thing by your employees. How about for yourself? What do you do for your people, the people who are part of your organization?
Well, everyone has a one-on-one meeting with my wife and I own the company together. We're a small organization of 13. They all have a meeting with each one of us on a regular basis to speak into. It's their meeting with us. A lot of it has to do with listening. You don't have to solve everyone's problem, but you do have to listen. We do have living our values, love events, we call them, LOV, living our values, where we'll honor one of our 5 values and then do an event around it. We'll shut down the office at like 2:00, and we'll live that value, whatever it is, whatever we're focusing on. And so love events are quarterly at our company. And we're not afraid of the word love either. We're just not afraid of it here. We do life together here. So it's a pretty cool space. And we're in the innovative space. So we're an inventive company. We have a patent on a technology that helps engage all this. And so that inventiveness is very exciting because you're like, well, I don't know if that's going to work or not. I know, let's try it. Let's see. So it's very exciting space to create and try new things within the realm of people and building culture.
Tell me about the 5 values.
Oh, 5 values, sure. Well, first, dignity. That's our foundational value. And that's the choice to show up and the choice to teach others how to treat you, because we can't figure you out. So you have to teach us how to treat you. We have courageousness, not being afraid to try something. Excuse me. We have unique. That's my number one driver for me. Unique is also world class. We have different definitions of like different verbs, like be world class, think differently. Because to be an innovator, you have to do that. We also have process. We want to honor process because you can't just be completely innovative without any sort of process to execute. And so we have rules that you have to, follow the process, and then you can share your ideas if you see a better process, and then you change, but you don't jump from follow to change, right? And so these are our core values. And what is the 5th one? We have dignity, unique, perseverance. And what we mean by that is together we achieve more. Usually you hear that word perseverance and you think of that go alone mentality, right? But no, it's about bold humility. It's about reaching out. It's about together we will go far. Go alone, you'll go quick, but go together, you go far. And so these are the values that drive our decision-making process.
So tell me about, so when you're doing the LOV events, the love events, you said you focus on a particular value quarterly. What does that mean?
So if we focused on dignity, which is, showing up and teaching others how to treat you, we will do, from if we shut down at, let's say, 2:00 in Green Bay, Wisconsin, we are the inventors of a drink called beer. Okay. So we'll go in our neighborhood here, which is a real creative, we're in the creative district of Green Bay, and we'll grab some beers and we'll just go around and everyone has to come prepared to share more of themselves. Okay. In a private room, like with each other. What's one thing we don't know about you? That might be as simple as what is one thing you're most proud of? And so we have a love committee, and their job, we don't have the owners in it. Their job is to come up with the topics and come up with the events. So oftentimes I don't even know what we're doing, and sometimes it's a brewer game. because go together goes, that is about perseverance, moving together, move fast, or go alone, go fast, move together, go far. So we get in the bus and they'll say, we're going far. We're going to go to the Brewers Stadium and look at a team and realize that no one person can win that game. And so it might be that simple. We're just having fun being together, surrounding our values.
I love it. That's interesting. Now, is that always internal, or do you bring clients every now and then?
That's always internal. Now, for external, we have what's called a power up, and we have a power up at Lambeau Field in the fall that we do. And so people come in from all over actually to attend our power up. We have guest speakers. They can choose their track. It's a cool and inspirational space to have a power up. And then we do a spring power up, and that's at the baseball stadium, like spring cleaning. It's not in the stadium, right? We don't have that kind of a draw, but it's in these really cool spaces that they have, these meeting areas. And Lambeau event will draw between 150 to 250 people who really want to work on their game. And so that would be our version of a love event for the masses, so to speak.
Now, what I love is these values are also part of your product.
Yes.
So you really have tied. When did you make that decision that you have a product that has 5 values and you run a company that's centered around those 5 values?
Well, it's interesting. I used to own a marketing company. Okay, so this company started as marketing in 2002. I was introduced to servant leadership by our biggest client who brought his company through it. And I saw them go from 4 grocery stores up to 40 and become an over $1 billion company, and how these values were executed. And so I had a first row seat with the top culture people of the day, right? And so I realized that's in my heart. So when you're talking about being an authentic leader, I realized I don't even like marketing. I can be good at it, but I don't like it. What I like is to stir the human spirit. I like to understand people. I love to teach acceptance in an unaccepting world. And so then we invent this tool to do that, because I was trying to understand my stepson, Alex, who's now joined the company a few months ago. But when he was 9, I didn't quite get him. And so while playing Monopoly, I noticed those property cards teach you how to treat each property, and they all have their own rules. So I thought, what if he could teach me how to treat him? And that's when the first invention hit, when he was 14 years old. And now he's 27. So that's 13 years ago. And then it took off in business. And so I guess what was maybe the original question? I might have went off track, but how do you bring your values into your...
It was interesting. And by the way, I'm glad you didn't need a calculator to do the arithmetic of 13 plus.
Yeah, right.
13 plus 14. So the question was along the lines, it's so interesting to me that we treat this construct of culture as this independent entity, right? Like, oh, let's bring a new culture into the company, where the truth is the culture is really made from the executive staff down. And if we are coming into the world as honest, transparent, credible humans, and we're sharing that, and there's no difference between sort of the work Joe and the play Joe, then what happens not Play-Doh, but Play Joe.
Gotcha.
What happens is that you don't have to do anything interesting, right? It all works. And then you're continually reinforcing that with, because I've seen you've walked me through your processes. Sure. You're continually reinforcing that with how you show up, how you interact with your clients, how you do that. And then internally, by having a quarterly event, that's such a great, I'm going to use this one as well. I'll give you some cred dust. And that it's having an event focused on, just specifically focused on one of the values. That's such a great idea. Love that. So when did that, I know you started you started there, but is there there's one day you like, I see how simple it is. And that's really what it is. At the end of the day, Joe, it's like, it's as simple as possible. And we're taught to to make life so complicated?
Yeah, so I looked deep in myself, and I was inspired by Walt Disney because I'm a Disney nut. And I went to Disney Institute to learn more with my wife. And as we wrapped up that whole thing, something one of the trainers said is, take your gifts from even when you were 3 and bring them into your business. Like every talent you have. If you're an artist, how do you bring art into your business of consulting leadership or whatever? And so I said to her, we used to do these lovely, I mean, our Christmas parties were epic. We'd send our employees, and we used to have 24 off on scavenger hunts and buses and all this stuff. And I said, we're just so much fun, you and I. Why don't we bring fun into leadership? So we actually bought a bus because Walt Disney said, if you want to change a mindset, you have to change the experience. And so I was sitting at one of my daughter's dance competitions, waiting for them to sing. And I'm sitting there in the other side of the state. And I go, how can we show our fun spirit, our entertainment side, and use all these gifts that I've been given as a kid? I used to own a performing arts school. I used to perform on a cruise ship. I'm like, how do I use these talents and gifts to bring joy and engagement into our trainings? And so I thought limo bus. So I looked up limo bus on Craigslist, and there was one 20 minutes away, and he drove it over, and this thing was pimped out. It looks like a little beluga whale. It is so cute. Had twinkly lights all throughout it. So we gutted it, and we put all the leaders that have inspired me in the bus, and we now do leadership adventures with teams. So when we kick off a curriculum, they think they're going to be in a boring boardroom. When we go, you know what? Grab your stuff and let's get out of here. They're like, what's going on? Or meet us at a park and ride. Why are we going to a park and ride? And their boss will say, you'll find out.
Nice.
We have these adventures because I thought I have to bring my spirit. So the power-ups, I used to put on big shows. I used to do that. And so I know how to do that. So I said, why don't we start something that really taps into all of our gifts? And then you find out someone used to be an event planner or loves planning their family events. Well, now you're going to plan that event. Oh my gosh. So I got more focused on what are our inherent talents as a human being versus your role. And with those talents, what can we do? And that's what that was Disney Institute.
That was beautiful, by the way. So it's interesting. So as advice for others, or actually when you started, I'm trying to think about a good direction. When you started doing that for the company, how did it change how you showed up day to day, or did it?
Oh, big time. I started this leadership jazz outside of the state of Wisconsin. I just had these ancillary clients that I picked up somehow. And I had leaders there who just trusted me and said, just try this and go lead that group and go give them leadership coaching. I had no curriculum, I had nothing, but I'd come back always refreshed, always in charge, like confident, and the staff was wondering what I was doing. And of course I would share some stories, but if I'm going to leave marketing and you worked at a marketing company, wouldn't that make you feel nervous? Right. And so it was, but now that we made the full turn about 5 years ago, I feel just confident. I'm not nervous, anxious about where money's going to come from. The relationships with clients have gotten much tighter than I've ever imagined. Marketing are very shallow clients. I mean, they don't even want to talk about marketing. And then when you put your heart and soul into an idea, they go, I don't like it. And so it's but this conversation, they're leaning in. You're pulling out their personal purpose. If you're helping them with their vision, then their employees all speak to them. Like their executives will hear it and go, wow, here's what stood out with me. And they pour into this person. You see people kind of choking up, like being human. You can't, you just feel like $1 million. And now you're bringing employees into that scenario and they see it and they go, wow, this feels great to make this kind of impact with people.
And on your personal life, in terms of how you are interacting with your kids, with the family, what's changed?
I don't know if anything's changed with the kids because I've always just been a total family dad, goofy dad jokes and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that's changed. I will tell you my relationship with my wife, who's my business partner, runs operations, finance. So I have to find it and produce it, and she has to manage it. It's just far more exciting, and we created it together, which is really cool. I mean, even on the marketing side, we created together, but this we really create together. And so she even stepped more into a stronger role within the company, shedding her own insecurities at times, about this or that, and just setting boundaries around when she'll be there and what you can expect from her. And it's been feeling great.
So what hints do you have for people who are not CEOs, who are not clients yet, and they hear this? Notice how I said that? People who are not clients yet. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and they hear this and they go, I'm interested. I hear you, Joe. It's a small company, 13 people. I've got 1,300 people. It's not going to work for me. By the way, this is me being silly. What would you say?
Well, as far as size goes, it doesn't matter. We work with 29,000 employees at certain companies. It's one leader affecting many. So what I would like to say, though, is it's not what I've learned from my own experience. You cannot change a culture with PowerPoint slides and books. Okay? You can't just have a book of the day club, which is what most CEOs I've encountered will do. And they have the best interest, and some can get some momentum on it, but most are like, huh? So you need a system. Like, if you really want to get your heart into your company, there is no such thing as common sense. So once you accept that there is no such thing as common sense, because a lot of CEOs go, why can't people just use common sense? There is no common sense because there is no common person. We all think differently. We all come from a different perspective. But the encouragement is that there are systems. There is a system. There's technology that actually tracks and allows momentum to take place within an organization that gets so sticky because it speaks to the heart of authenticity and everything you stand for, Mitchell, being credible. It's all about being honest and credible and pushing it forward and allowing every leader to cast a vision over their department that supports the CEO's vision. Like, teach folks how to do it and equip them with technology and information, and you will see a complete 180 on some individuals. It is, and not over many, many years. Some individuals have changed within 3 months because they're allowed to be them. See, we hide behind this wall of worthiness, I've discovered, and we defend our worthiness at all costs, which you might call your ego. And you don't need to. You're already worthy. Dignity is not something you earn. It's something you have and that you hold, and it's yours. You're the one losing dignity, not other people around you. And so when leaders realize that, the defensiveness shuts down, the open-mindedness grows, the fears subside. It's just cool. And they bring it into their families, which is the biggest reason we start with businesses to begin with, is because they will bring it into their family.
I so love that. Hey, Joe, if people want to reach out to you, they want to learn more, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Sure. Well, I'm certainly on LinkedIn, Joe Kiedinger. The company is Prophit Co, PROPHIT.com. That's how you get to our website, Prophit Co. And you can just, or you can email joek@prophit.com. I mean, that's the easiest way to get a hold of me.
Awesome. And for me, and Joe, I have one more question for you. What I'll just say is, for those who are interested, we run what's called the Ultimate Credibility Boot Camp once a quarter. If you haven't visited the site for a while, it has its. We always talk about it needs an upgrade. Now it has an upgrade. So we're now working on the next upgrade, and it allows people to come into a room for 2 days and learn how to show up credibly on and offline. And I think that could be a really nice precursor, because if people want to bring that into corporations, the types of tool set that Joe and his company brings to bear makes a whole lot of sense to be able to integrate through. And this conversation just reinforced the fact that we have to more closely align the stuff that we're doing together, Joe.
Yeah, for sure.
What I did want to ask one last question.
Yeah.
I often think to myself, hey, at the end of a conversation, hey, based on how this went, I should have said one last thing. So is there a particular question that you would have liked me to ask, or that we can ask right now that you can answer, that that really comes to the top of your mind?
I think how to get started, right? How do you get started in building a dignity-based culture? So do you want to ask me that?
I think I will. So I'm going to say, how do you get started in a credible culture, in a dignity culture, in a culture where people can just show up as themselves and be of service to others?
You got to start with yourself, and where the old leadership model and development of culture, the CEO or president or the head of a division could just sign on and dictate it down. It really doesn't work that way. If you're going to be credible, you've got to, put on your own mask before you can assist another to put on their mask. And so that's where it starts with one, because one can impact a million. If you think about all the people in your life, you stepping into who you really are, you discovering who you really are, stepping into it, not the best version of you. You're already perfect. Okay. You're already perfect, but getting the fears out, you start with you, everything cascades from there. And then the next person raises their hand because they go, I want some of that. And the next person raises their hand, and you always work with the willing. So any culture program you build has to start with someone at the top, whether in a division or ideally the very, very top, and it will cascade down when you work with the willing. And so that's where it becomes simple. I mean, there's a lot of work to do, but the actual execution of it is not as complicated as people might think.
It's too simple. I often spend a lot of time thinking about the percentage that aren't there yet, and the importance that you've just reemphasized is, hey, there are people that are ready to go. Let's start with that.
You have to develop them. They're asking to be developed. Matter of fact, there was a study just done by the U.S. government, and why employees leave and this sort of thing. They came up with 5 elements. I don't recall all of them, but the one was development. Are you going to develop me? Because they're starving for it. So when you use a company like ours to develop your people, or like yours, Mitchell, now you're investing in me. You're pouring into me, and you watch it grow. Watch your investment grow. Like, I'll bet on people all day long.
I love that. Hey, Joe, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for the invite. It's been an honor to meet you personally, and to be shared with your followers. So I'm grateful to be here, and thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, absolutely, my pleasure. And listen, if you're still here at this stage, this is the right time. Click on the like button, share with your friends, spread some cred dust, because there were so many gems that were shared during this episode. Joe's message needs to continue to be shared far and wide. Thanks so much for joining us. See you at the next episode of Leaders Living Their Values. Take care, everyone. Bye now.